I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 373rd episode of the Political Spotlight. I am your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. Apologize, we're running just a little late here. We're trying to get everything going. We were like live streaming today for hours and hours and hours. I couldn't even believe. I thought like it was going to go off at some point. We might have popped up and did another episode, but it just kept going and going. So I thought, to hell with it. I guess we'll just keep going and going. Welcome. We're going to let a couple people jump on here because I don't know that I've got this out. Give me just 1 second here while I make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing here. Welcome. The few of you that are on here right now, I don't know that we've ever started out this low. Maybe we burnt everybody out this morning. Give me a second here and make sure we're going good there. Okay, we're there. We're good there. So did y'all have a good day today? Did you work? Were you at work? Or are you in a position where you were off either for, I guess only off for Martin Luther King Day? I guess that's only government, and the people that watch from the government normally don't comment. So we won't even know. I don't know why I asked that question. Well, for the few of you that are here, how many of you watched the inauguration today? Did you catch any bit of it, any bits and pieces? Did you just completely tune it out? What are your thoughts on what went down today? You know, look, I don't care if you like Trump or dislike Trump. It's always a historic event to watch, and it always amazes me that people's like, no, I'm not going to watch it. I'm too afraid to see what's happening. You know, it's like, dude, it's a historical event. You know, one way or another, it is what it is. We're still the only, I guess really the only place that does it exactly like we do it. You know, maybe there's other places that are free out there, I guess England and whatnot, but it's crazy that this experiment's still working. I know it's getting a little rocky here, and things have been crazy the last several years, but we're still maintaining. I guess that's a good thing. A lot of crazy things have happened today along the way. We've had some crazy pardons on both sides of the noon o'clock hour today. Some crazy pardons coming from both Biden on his way out and Trump as he's coming in. So we're going to be talking a little bit about, of course, some things that have went on today. We're going to be talking about that. And then we're going to pull it closer to home. Obviously, we've got some important local stuff that we need to be talking about. We've got a Delaware County Commissioners Meeting that's getting ready to happen tomorrow. We need to talk about that. And then I'm going to cover a crazy Indiana State House bill that is really bothersome to a pretty large group of individuals in the state of Indiana. And so we're going to talk about that. It just amazes me how many bills are just absolute trash at the state level. You know, everybody talks about, oh, they can only put 5 bills up. Dude, if they were allowed to put up 10 or 15 bills, it would just be, we would be inundated with just total nonsense, because they can't even put up 5 decent bills. I'd like to tell these people, just because you can put up 5 bills doesn't necessarily mean you should, if they're all going to be as shitty as they have been. There are so many bills at the state house level right now that are just absolute trash, man. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that. Before we get into the show, obviously, thank you. I'm your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey. As always, producer Kate is here at the controls, making sure thing is working. Everything's going straight. Putting your comments up when there's something to put up, obviously. We want to ask you to please consider doing the YouTube things right here. Like and subscribe. That's big. Like if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please do so. And like the channel, hit the thumb either way. Ring the bell after doing that. Share the show with everyone you know. And if you're here live, comment over here at the right-hand side in the live comment box. If you're here in the future watching on your own time via replay, then comment down below and we will figure out what's going on and we'll get back with you. We are very happy when we see you guys comment. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. And then lastly, if you want to see what we're going to be talking about before the show gets started, if you want to see kind of the things that's going to be of interest, you can always go to our YouTube go to our social media accounts, our 2 Facebook pages, the Kristopher H. Bilbrey page and the Political Spotlight page, both on Facebook there. And then obviously our X account is where we put a lot of that information. And of course, we're on YouTube, Rumble, and everywhere else in between. So check those out if you haven't already. So, okay, it looks like we can kind of get started here. I want to pull a couple things up here just briefly. I got to turn this fan on. It's crazy how cold it is outside, but I'm in the upstairs. I'm in the upstairs basement. You know, being in the upstairs basement, it manages to get warm because, as we know, heat rises. I am in the only upstairs basement in the world, coming to you live from the only upstairs basement in the world. Okay, so straight out of the gate, for those of you that are happy, for those of you that are not happy, it's all the same. President Trump was sworn in today, and it was a little bit different. They did it inside. Some say it was because of the bitter cold. Some say it was because of the security threats. Either way, I don't think it was the same. I didn't like it as much. It didn't have the same, you know, it was kind of like a rain delay, going and watching a concert on a Friday or Saturday evening's always great. You get to hang out, have fun. Doesn't matter. You don't work the next day. Everything's cool. But then there's like a rain delay. And the rain delay pushes it to Sunday or Tuesday. And so you're going to concert on a Tuesday. Who wants to do that? That's never any fun. That's kind of what today felt like because it was inside, everything they were doing. So that was kind of funky. I think maybe we need maybe it would make more sense to push the takeover like around July 4th, maybe we could make like a couple day thing of it. Like we have the July 4th holiday and then yes. Yeah, that's right, Joe Black. But yeah, we could have like the 4th of July and then a couple days later we could have the official transition. That might make more sense. But I don't know. Hey, if we can change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, surely to God, we could fumble around a little bit with the dates of when these things occur. I always thought that it would help elections if they changed the elections a little bit too, because it just seems how it happens here in Indiana. It's always kind of shitty in May, and then it's always shitty in November. It never seems to fail that we're going to have shitty weather in May and then again shitty weather in November. So, whoever thinks of these things, whoever needs help thinking about these things, give me a holler. So, first and foremost, the speech, his speech today, the inaugural speech, it wasn't like Kate said earlier, it wasn't like a Gettysburg Address. It wasn't, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. It wasn't Kennedy's inaugural address. You know what I mean? This was not going to be ranked up there with, some of the best speeches of the world. Let's face it, it's Donald Trump. It is what it is. But the speech was great in another way because of how it outlined. I think it was like it's like his version of the state of the state. When the president comes in, the state of the state's normally held in February, but we won't do a state of the state. I don't think I don't think they do it the first year. So this is kind of like, that's what I always look at this as. It's almost like where he sees things, where the president, whoever it might be, sees things as of now and where he hopes to go. And so I think that while it wasn't like the best type of inaugural speech, it was very good as a to-do list. I think I saw someone say that earlier. It looked like his to-do list. And so I think that was interesting. Okay. I'm trying to get this pulled up here because I want to be able to show you let's see here. Okay, here we go. So we've got the full speech here. And what was interesting was he only went for 30 minutes. So that was kind of interesting because, normally he is, is somebody that will go on and on and on and on, a man after my heart. But it was amazed that he only went for 30 minutes. Then he went, I think they either went upstairs or downstairs from where they were. And then he talked to the base, and he went from there, I think, for about an hour and a half. So while the initial speech was shorter, obviously he had more that he wanted to say, and then he was able to get that out there. I'm not going to go over that second speech because it was more like a rally. It was more like what goes on in the rallies. So I'm not really focused on that. I am more focused on what was said in the actual inauguration address. And I'm trying to get it to work with me here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, that's working good here. I'm pulling it off, so I want you guys to be able to see this as we go through it. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we go. So what's interesting to me is what he laid out as some of the bigger points of interest to things that he was looking at doing. So we're going to cut down here. Give me 1 second. Let me get this pulled up here. Okay, you guys can see this here. So we go through the golden age of America begins right now. Okay, that's kind of interesting. We want to get down through here and see when, let me get to the point where he starts going down the list of things that are going to happen. Okay. All right, here we go. So he starts off with his to-do list of today. I will sign a series of historic executive orders. Obviously, if anybody watched the inaugural address, you heard me say several times that ahead of anything else that he does, here's what my hope is. My hope is for the Kennedy files. I want the Kennedy files. And when I say that, I'm using that as a broad kind of spectrum thing for, I want the JFK files, what happened, release them all. I don't care if anyone's still alive. I don't care what's going on. Release them all. You were supposed to do it during your first run, and you didn't. And then Biden was going to, and Biden came out and said, well, it would hurt America's confidence in some of our institutions. And I'm like, yeah, look, we're already hurt. That's already hurt. We already don't believe in a lot of those institutions. So just release the damn Kennedy files. So I'm hoping that he does that, and I'm hoping he does it soon. What do I mean when I say the Kennedy files? Well, I really want the JFK assassination files released, every bit of them, unredacted, Let it go. Let's release it. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's get to the bottom of this thing once and for all. Might as well throw in the Martin Luther King files with that and throw in the Bobby Kennedy files with it. Let's do a 3 for a hat trick. Let's just put it all out there, okay? So I want to see that. I want to see the Epstein files. I want to see the list. I want to see who's going to the island. I want to see who was on the airplanes. I want to know all of what was going on with the Epstein files. Let's get it out there and get that done. And then I want to see the complete, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that's good, everything that's bad, everything that's ugly. And I know there were a lot of things that were destroyed, but everything that we still have about the January 6th ordeal, put all of that out there. So I want to see all of that stuff. And those are things that he has been saying here in the last few weeks, that he would release all of these things. And I have said, I want to see it done in the first week. So that's where we are. That's my list of demands. And we'll see where we go with that. Okay. So moving on, he says we'll sign a series of historic executive orders. First up, he talks about declaring a national emergency at the southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted. We will begin a process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. I will send troops back to the southern border. I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Listen, who can disagree with that? Like, I don't know a person who can disagree with designating the Mexican cartels, okay? These cartels that are sending over tons and tons of fentanyl that could kill us all. All right? Don't even think about the drug addicts for a moment. Think about what a terrorist could do with a pound of fentanyl and an exhaust system at the Colts game. You could wipe out the entire stadium. You know what I mean? So, yeah, hell yeah. Years and years and years ago, these guys and gals, whoever, should have been considered terrorists. So, who can have a problem with that? All right. By invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Of 1798. Man, they were really bad back then. You mean Trump didn't do that? The Alien Enemies Act of 1798. I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of the federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks bringing devastating crime to the U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. Okay, that's just absolutely amazing. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasion. Yeah, yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know what the Aliens Act of 1798 says?
Let's read it. What is it? You have it up there?
I've got just a synopsis of it.
Sure.
It says it authorizes the president to arbitrarily deport any non-citizen who that was determined to be dangerous to the peace and safety of the United States.
Any non-citizen.
Correct.
Yeah. I think that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
A non-citizen.
Yep. Under this law, the president could authorize the arrest, relocation, or deportation of any male over the age of 14 who came from a foreign enemy country.
Beautiful.
Yeah. This gives him pretty much carte blanche to throw out any non-citizen that he wants to, basically. I mean, I definitely need to read through the whole thing, but that was,
yeah,
a couple of things that jumped out at me. I'm sorry.
Sounds good to me. All right. Yeah, thank you, Kate. Moving on. Next. Oops, hold on here. Let me get rid of this. Next, I will direct all members of the cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. Okay, like, who can have a problem with this? Who likes inflation? Raise your hand out there if you love inflation. Raise your hand out there if you like going to McDonald's to feed two people and it costing $21. That's insane. Okay? So, yeah, like I'm ready to rock and roll. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that's why today I will declare a national emergency. We will drill, baby, drill. What an amazing thing. Listen, I have a brother who, because of all of this, had to join the United States military to find a job that could be able to sustain his family, because with a very high secondary education degree, being an engineer, chemical engineer, biomedical engineer, was forced out of the oil fields and was unable to find a job, get a job to sustain his family. And because of that, felt like really his only other option was to sign up and join the military. And now he's, not even in the United States right now because of this. And so, yeah, I'm all for that. America will be manufacturing. It will be a manufacturing nation once again. And we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have: the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth. And we're going to use it. We're going to bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and that is liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. All right. With my action today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry, keeping my sacred pledge to the American auto worker. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. I'm telling you, as a former car salesman, it's absolutely ridiculous understanding that people would come onto the lot and have to get a 10-year loan, 10-year loan to buy a new truck, because the truck was upwards of $90,000. $90,000 for a new truck. That's insane. The prices of that need to come down. Will the prices ever come down? Who knows what's going to happen there? Am I mad for someone wanting to try? No, let's do it. Let's see what we can get done. That would be amazing. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thanks to you, the auto workers, Okay. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. That'll be interesting to see how that works, what's going to happen there. All of this is going to take conversation and take doing. We'll see what goes on. I do believe that he's got a mandate. I do believe that we have the House and the Senate. He should be able to get some things done. I feel like this is very much like the ball's in his court. You can do it. Let's not get into the game of all of the self-induced injuries. Let's not fumble the ball. Let's make sure that we have a grasp on what we're doing. Keep your eye on the prize, and let's get things done. Let's not focus on the stupidity. Let's not focus on nonsense. Let's just do what we need to do. It's his chance. This right now is the chance. You can either make the people out here that are supporting you and doing this, you can either make us right, or you can make us look stupid, and the ball's in your court. I think he can do it. I think we can do it. I think that in a year from now, there will be people who have been totally against this second term who will say, okay, things aren't as bad as I thought they would be. Now, we just got to get to it. I don't like wishing away time, but, I'm hoping in a year from now that we're saying, like, look, we made it. Things aren't as bad as you thought they would be, right? Or in a year from now.
There are already Democrats who are starting to come forward with ideas to help Doge.
Isn't that interesting? That's what's really interesting. Now, I did see that someone said, I didn't read this, that there's already been a lawsuit filed against it. There's already been a lawsuit filed against Doge. They said almost as soon as he was sworn in today that a lawsuit was filed. I don't know what that's about. I don't know who filed it, but it's like, who can be against waste except the people who are getting rich from the waste? Those are the only people that's against it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I also think it's interesting that there are Democrats coming forward saying, hey, let's help out with this. That is good. Okay. Department of Government Efficiency. That's what we're just talking about there. Okay. Free expression. Let me tell you, I don't do TikTok. I've tried it. I try to put stuff on there to keep people aware. We do pretty well on TikTok. I just don't understand it. It's below my understanding or above my understanding. One of the two. I don't think I'm young enough to get it, or female enough to get it, or I don't know, blonde enough to. I don't know what the deal is, but I just don't understand it. Don't understand it at all. So I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to this whole big ordeal. TikTok's gone. It's back. It's, all that nonsense. But look, I'm not okay with foreign countries spying on us. So I don't like that. I'm okay with looking at China as possibly the bad guy, definitely the bad guy. Okay. I'm okay with all of that. I'm not like, yay, pro TikTok, but I am pro free speech. I don't think that just because they take free TikTok away, I don't think that means free expression is dead, but I do like his commitment to bringing back the First Amendment and not stopping it and whatever that entails. Now, the little I do know about the whole deal with TikTok is they said that he has signed I guess an executive order or something stating that the TikTok ban will be lifted for 90 days. I've not read what's going to happen in that 90 days or what's supposed to happen in that 90 days. If it can fall under compliance, great, all the better. But I also still believe that social media is the devil, and it is what's hurting a lot of the youth, the children. And, I get to say that because I grew up in a time before social media. So there we go. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. I hope that's true. I hope that is true. That should be something that we all strive to say. The political powers that be, whether they're Republican or Democrat, should not be used to hurt other political opponents. Ever. Never. No matter who they're on. The Democrats should not try to hurt Trump. Trump should not try to hurt the Democrats with the power of the state because of being political opponents. We need to get back to understanding that politics is hell. Politics is war. It's bloody. It's not for the faint of heart, but you're not going to be prosecuted because of your political beliefs. Okay. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, we will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. And boy, oh boy, when he said that, I thought, oh, I cannot wait to hear what everybody says. This is what I said. Listen, I said this earlier, and, maybe it's the fact that I'm a white male that I say, like, listen, if I thought that I was something different than I am, or if I thought that I was something different than you thought that I am, I would just continue thinking I was what I am. And if you like it or don't like it, that's fine. I don't need your approval to be who I am. So if I thought that I was something different than Donald Trump said, it wouldn't matter what Donald Trump said. This is going to piss people off. It's going to make people mad. I completely understand it. Here's what I would say. As humans, as Americans, we should all have rights. We all have the same rights that were given to us by our creators or by whoever. If you're not a believer, wherever you believe your rights came from, should be granted, and we should be equal rights. And beyond that, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness and personal responsibility, all that shit. All right. This week, I'll reinstate any service member who were unjustly expelled from the military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. That is big. That's really, really, really big. I like to hear that. That's amazing, and that is a big, big thing. I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. I love it. Okay. Our armed forces will be free to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. Like it. I think that's the way that it should be. We will measure our successes not by the battles we win, but also we will measure our successes not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end. And perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and a unifier. That is what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I am pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families. And listen to me when I say this. If that's because of Trump, great. If that's because of Biden, great. If that's because of somebody from over there, great. I don't care. As long as they're coming home, that is what matters. Okay? So I just wanted to state that out there. I don't care who did it. As long as they're coming home, that's what matters. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the world. A short time from now, we're going to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which is extremely wild work. I think that is absolutely bizarre and weird. But hey, we live in a state here where I'm broadcasting from, where we are thinking quite honestly and seriously, for some unknown reason, of changing the shape of the state we live in. So if we live in a state where we can change our border after 200 years, then why not change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? I don't give a shit what it's called. Whatever. All right. Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, whatever. Okay, cool. And then We will restore the name of the great President William McKinley to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. Listen, I don't know where the hell that mountain is. My ass isn't going to be in the Gulf of Mexico. It's not going to be in the Gulf of America. My ass is not going to be on President William McKinley Mountain and whatever the mountain is now, before, wherever. I don't care. The name stuff is stupid. We should never have started changing names in the first place, changing them back, whatever. Like, to me, that's whatever. That's work that you do after you release the Kennedy files. Let's see here. Panama Canal stuff. Okay, great. Act with courage, vigor, vitality of history's greatest civilization. We liberate our nation. We will lead to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together, we will end chronic disease, epidemic of keeping our children unsafe, unhealthy, disease-free, keeping them safe, healthy, and disease-free. Excuse me. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, carries our flag into new, beautiful horizons. Okay, great. We're going to Mars. That's wonderful. I'm also not going to be going to Mars, so have at it. Political comeback. Okay. Together they laid the railroads, high school. Okay. The people that did this is great. America did it. We defeated fascism and communism and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. These were Americans, badass Americans. Okay. I don't know that we have necessarily all the same Americans today that we had back then, but hopefully we'll see. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of our greatest years in American soil. With your help, we will restore the American promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love. And we love it so much. We are the one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child to dream for their future, I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We are going to win like never before. Okay. So that brings us to the end of that. So pretty crazy to-do list. And I was pissed because I didn't see or hear anything in there about Kennedy, MLK, Epstein, but I'll give him 1 week. He's got 1 week. Just do it. Let's see it. Denali. That's right. Mount McKinley in Alaska. That's right. It's Denali. Have you been there? Aunt Mark? Just put the black lady back on the syrup bottle. Oh, God. I know somebody that's been to... maybe it's Phil's parents that have been there. So, I don't know. I was pretty stoked. I was pretty happy with how everything went today. But I thought that you probably had. Alaska seems like a pretty cool place that I will happily look at pictures of. I have no desire to go to Alaska. Too cold. I will go down and look at the Gulf of America, but I just don't get in it. I like being in Florida, but I don't do the ocean. Take me to Florida by a pool by the ocean. I'm down with that. I just don't get in the ocean. Maybe get in up to my ankles. That's it. Okay. So, other than that, let's talk about the quick this before we go on to the local stuff. So early on today, before the presidential inaugural party got underway, the ceremonies got underway, it was announced that Biden, in an 11th hour pardoned some pretty crazy people. And those people that Biden pardoned this morning, I guess he pardoned them the other day, but it was announced today. He pardoned Anthony Fauci, one of America's most prolific serial killers, in case you're not familiar with who I'm talking about, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Retired General Mark Milley, one of the men who was in charge of bungling the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And the folks that sat on the House committee that investigated January 6th, including Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, Adam Kinzinger, Elaine Loria, Stephanie Murphy, Zoe Lofgren, Pete Aguilar, Jamie Raskin, and Adam Schiff. So he pardoned Fauci, Mark Milley, and then those 9 members of the United States Congress. And then literally, as he walked through the little curtain today, it was wild. So I was sitting here. I've got this computer set up here to my right, and I've got my camera here, my computer's here, the main computer that I'm looking at. I've got where we're broadcasting from here, broadcasting the inauguration today, which if you want to watch it, it's like 6 hours long, and it's on our channel. It's been viewed like a ton of times. I can't believe how many views we've got on it. You can go in there and kind of look at where you're on. I'll go in there after we're done and put some timestamps in there so people can go directly to where they're wanting to go. But I literally am watching Biden walk through. Oh, yes, that's right. That's right, David. He also pardoned all of the Capitol Police and the DC Metro Police that testified. You're correct. But as Biden's walking through the curtain, a pop-up comes up on the Hill. A breaking news. Just minutes ago, Biden pardoned another group of weird people. And just to make sure that you guys are understanding who those people are, like late minute pardons, they announced this at 11:50. He pardoned his family, not just Hunter Biden that was pardoned back in December. He pardoned James B. Biden, Sarah Jones Biden, Valerie Biden Owens, John T. Owens, and Francis W. Biden. They were all pardoned between the dates of January 1st, 2014 and January 19th, 2025. So James B. Biden, his wife, Sarah Jones Biden, Biden's sister, Valerie Biden Owens, her husband, John T. Owens, and then the other brother, Francis W. Biden. So, it's just really amazing to see that people can be preemptively pardoned. So those were some crazy pardons. All right. Well, then Trump said, "Oh, yeah, let me show you what I can do." And then some point today afternoon, Trump pardoned January 6 rioters and signed sweeping orders on TikTok border energy. So let's see here. Let me read this from the Hill. President Trump pardoned nearly all January 6 defendants on Monday, making good on a long-standing campaign promise just hours into his second presidency. He briefly said Monday night that he granted roughly 1,500 full, complete, and unconditional pardons for rioters charged in connection with the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. There have been a total of 1,583 total defendants charged. That means there were roughly 83 defendants that he did not pardon. And so I would assume those were the 83 most violent that actually were doing something like of crazy. I don't know what the story is there, but he pardoned 1,500 out of the 1,583. What they've done to these people is outrageous, Trump said while signing various orders from the Oval Office. The pardons clear the way for potentially hundreds of his supporters to be released from prison in the coming days, some of whom were sentenced to years in prison for attacking law enforcement that day. They came just hours after former President Biden, in the 11th hour of his presidency, issued preemptive pardons for members of staff and all of the House Jan 6 Select Committee, which investigated the riot. Trump also commuted the sentence of Proud Boys and Oath Keepers members who were charged with plotting to forcefully halt the peaceful transfer of power in 2020 to time served. However, former Proud Boys National Chair Enrique Tarrio, who is serving a 22-year prison term, the longest handed down in connection with the attack, received a pardon. And I just want to remind everybody that the Proud Boys are looked at by the Southern Law, that the institute that determines who are hate groups and whatnot. They are looked at as a white supremacist group, but their leader is a black man. The Southern Poverty Law Center looks at the Proud Boys as a white supremacist group, although Tarrio is a black man. So I think that's kind of interesting. It's kind of like that Dave Chappelle skit where he's the black KKK member. Let's see here. Trump also ordered his Justice Department to take steps to throw out all pending indictments against January 6 defendants whose cases have not yet been fully adjudicated, a decision that would shut down roughly 470 ongoing cases. Trump long vowed to grant clemency to those who dissented on the Capitol as Congress certified the 2020 election win of his Democratic opponent, former President Biden, describing them on the campaign trail as political prisoners and hostages. But in recent weeks, his allies' comments suggested Trump's clemency might not be so sweeping. Vice President Vance said earlier this month that people who committed violence on January 6 should obviously not receive pardons, while Pam Bondi, Trump's pick for Attorney General, said at her confirmation hearing that she condemns any violence against law enforcement. Trump said Monday he believed the supporters of January 6 rioters would be pleased with his clemency decision, describing them as hostages who, for the most part, didn't do stuff wrong. You'll be happy because you'll know it's actions, not words, that count, he said, and you're going to see a lot of action on the January 6 hostages, a lot. So there's that. And people can go crazy about that and both sides of that. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Enough of that. We're now going to go on to the local stuff. Oh, look, I didn't even put the banner up. I was going to put the banner up the whole time I was talking about this. I was going to put up Monday's Unburdening, and then for the local stuff, I was going to put up Tuesday's questions. So, all right, moving into the questions about what's been going on here in Delaware County. I thought about how I was going to talk about this. I still don't know how I want to talk about it. I don't know if I just want to wait until tomorrow. Okay, so I want to do a quick refresher. I want to make sure that everybody is aware. We weren't here last night because I had a horrible headache, and I just didn't sleep very well, and I could not be here last night. I couldn't open my eyes. I just had a horrible headache. So we weren't here last night. We were not here Saturday and Friday because we're normally off Friday and Saturday. So the last time we were together was on Thursday, and we talked about a very, to me, important situation. And I kind of laid it out, like laying out a case, the foundation of a case. And so to some, they might have got lost in the weeds. So I want to make sure that people are 100% up to date on what I am saying. There is a situation that has been going on in Delaware County now since November 14th. And I've been aware of it since November 14th. And I've been waiting on records to come in so that I could take a look at what the county government has said has been going on. And so, of course, that starts with the Delaware County Redevelopment Commission. Okay. Back on the 14th, they had an agenda. They had a packet of papers that they were going to go through in their meeting. And at the bottom of those papers were the claims. And it was the claims that they would vote on, that they would pay. Okay, just like the Board of Works does, just like the Muncie Redevelopment Commission does, just like Delaware County Council, like government bodies do, they have claims that they vote to pay. And during the meeting, they looked at what are you talking about there, David? If you looked at the document, I'm going to take you back here. I think, yeah, we've still got them in here. Okay. The first document, public document from 11/14, looked like this. Okay. And this is what the 5 members of the Redevelopment Commission saw on November 14th. This is the top. This was the meat. And this was the bottom. All right. I broke it up. It's one document, but I've broken it up so you could see it. Top. And the only thing that you really need to keep in mind here is the invoice number, which is 41,606. All right. Then coming back to the bottom, the one thing that you need to keep in mind is the amount due and owing to date, which is $3,300. All right. Now, when you come to the meat, there's a lot of information here, but the only thing that you need to focus on is the very top line under the headline. So the headlines are date, initials, description of service, hours, and amount. So the very first line says 9/25/24. Initials are DNS, which is Danielle Struble. And then it says description of service. Conference call with Bill regarding SBOA and FBI meeting. 0.50, amount $100. So that's interesting. And listen, I would expect anybody that is in a position of sitting on a board, when they see that their attorneys present to them a claim for a conference call with Bill regarding SBOA and FBI meeting, I would expect any board member to be like, yo, what is this? And now a board member did that. They did it tactfully. They did it in a way to not cause now, and I could maybe have some issues with how Lex Luthor did that, being Rob Kiesling. I wish on the record he would have been like, yo, what is this meeting conference thing with the SBOA and the FBI? What is this? He didn't say that. He said, is there anything in here we need to be concerned about? To which Brad Bookout goes, nope, not at all. Now, what you don't know, and I don't know that I covered on Thursday, was after the meeting, Rob Kiesling goes up to Bookout or questions him again and says, at this time, after the meeting is off, he says to Bookout, what is that? What is this thing with the SBOA and the FBI? Now, this is the first time anybody outside of the people who were in that room, the 5 board members, a couple stragglers, Bookout, and myself are going to hear what Bookout's answer was. Bookout responded to Kiesling by saying something to the effect of, oh, don't worry about that. That was nothing. Somebody came in with an FBI lanyard on, and we weren't sure what it was, and we had to report it to local law enforcement. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. And that was his answer. Now, maybe it's just my experience in law enforcement, and maybe Rob Kiesling took that. I would have been like, what? That doesn't make any sense. What you just said, how does what you just said equate to a bill of the attorneys? What law enforcement agency did you report it to? Where's the report? You know, I got lots of questions, okay? I've got lots of questions based off Bookout's response. So on December 17th, I issued a record request to John Brooks' office for these documents. Now, I fully expected when they gave them to me, after I figured they would kick the can down the road a long time. I figured they wouldn't want to. I figured they would give me this document where this is the top, 41606, and this is the meat, conference call with Bill regarding SBOA and FBI meeting, and this is the bottom, 3300. But they didn't give that to me. What they instead gave me on January 16th, 2025, was a top that looked like this. Everything looks the same. The difference is the invoice number is off by 3. The invoice number says 41609. Okay? That's funky. So I'm like, Why is that number off? The date's the same. Everything's exactly the same. Why is that number off? Okay. The bottom of it looked like this. Oh, that's funky. It's now off by $100. That doesn't say $3,300. It says $3,200. Other than being off by $100, it doesn't look any different. That, of course, then brought us to the meat of the document. And lo and behold, the top line of that document says 9/25/24, same date, initials DNS, same initials. Hours are 0.50, same hours. Amount $100, same amount. But the description is different. The description says, review email from Brad with letter from Westdell. Now, if you want to take time and look through there, that's fine. If you want to say, well, maybe it's messed up, maybe it's dropped down, whatever. There, look, bottom line is what you see on the original document, conference call with Bill regarding SBOA and FBI, it is nowhere in this document. So I instantly am thinking, oh my God, they have deleted that. What's going on? Why is this happening? So I start reaching out to everyone that knows about this, everyone that I've talked to, all my sources, people, and I'm like, something is going on here. So what you guys don't know now is we got off the show Thursday night, and on Friday morning, I had to go and in my other job that you're not aware of, I also am a plumber, and I just started that business. I had to go plumb my grandparents' house. We had a toilet fiasco, and they needed to get a new toilet. And so I was going and dealing with that first thing Friday morning. And so in between the old toilet and the new toilet, I decided to send an email to the law office of Brooke and Struble, because when they sent me the record request on the 16th of January, she told me, and this was the secretary, if I had any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So on the 17th, that was Friday, the day after I did the initial show, I sent an email at 11:39 saying the following: good morning, Angie. Yesterday, Thursday, 1/16/25, you sent me a response to a request for public records. In that response, there was a document that I have a question about, and I am sending it to you below. It is marked as document B. However, I also have a copy of the same document from Delaware County Redevelopment Commission Meeting. And when I put same in parentheses, what's supposed to be the same document in Delaware County Redevelopment Commission Meeting, November 14th, 2024. And I have a copy of that document from the actual members. Like, it's not, it is the actual copy. So please understand, this is an actual copy. I'm sending it below as well, and it is marked as document A. As you can tell, these documents are obviously different, and I'm trying to figure out why. This question may be a little above your pay grade. I'm just trying to figure out if one of the attorneys can answer what's going on here. Like, why are these documents different? I'm asking the people who sent them to me. I'm asking the people who are supposed to be the custodian of these records. Like, why is this different? And this is different from just any other normal record request, because this record request, not only is it something that they're responsible for, but this is something directly from their office. So it's not only like, do they have just a copy of the paper they get? They have the the access to the original documents. That was my fear, that they had changed something around for some reason. So I send that, and when I send it, I quickly got back an answer, a response that I thought was rather odd. So the response I got back was from Danielle Struble. And Danielle says to me, an invoice was sent to Brad Bookout. Let me explain how this happens. So at the time, remember, Brad see, this is why it's so confusing. This is why I hate Delaware County government. Brad Bookout right now is a county councilor. All right? He's county councilor Brad Bookout. In November, he was not a county councilor, but he was a contract employee for Delaware County, making hundreds of thousands of dollars doing economic development work and doing all kinds of other work for Delaware County. And in that role, his job was he was the director kind of the Redevelopment Commission, and he would prepare the paperwork for that board and send it to them. So now let's go back to Danielle's answer. She says, an invoice was sent to Brad Bookout with an incorrect entry on it from another client of ours. We corrected the invoice and sent Bookout the updated invoice before the meeting. Okay? So understand what she's saying here. We accidentally sent, let's say the meeting was on November 14th. Okay? Let's say they sent all the documents to Brad by November 7th. I don't know that. I'm just saying. All right, let's say a couple days before the meeting. Let's say a week before the meeting, they start sending Brad the documents. So at least some point before November 14th, they sent him a document, which included that invoice, 41606, that description, conference call with Bill regarding SBOA and FBI, and that bottom, 3,300. They sent that invoice to Bookout at some point before the 14th. What Struble is now telling me is after they sent him that, but still before the meeting, they sent him a corrected memo. A corrected memo. And the corrected memo of the claims they sent him was this document, 41609, with this description: no State Board of Accounts, no FBI, and this bottom, $3,200. Now, Danielle Struble's response says, we sent this to him before the meeting. And I'm going to show you here so you're not just taking my word for it. No, Stumblefoot, not a typo. It gets much weirder than that. Okay. An invoice was sent to Brad with an incorrect entry on it for another client. So what she's claiming right here is she's claiming that top entry, conference call with Bill regarding State Board of Accounts and an FBI meeting, okay? She's claiming that happened for another client of theirs, but they inadvertently billed it to the Redevelopment Commission, and they sent it. Yeah, Rachel, you're ding, 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 ding. You're there. You're jumping ahead of me a little bit, but you're there. Keep that point in mind. I actually thought Kate was going to be the one that said it, but you got it. You said it. All right. So keep that point in mind.
We talked about this the other night, and I said it then, so it's not fair for me to jump in.
Well, I know. I just thought maybe that you would tell the people that, but yeah, no, that's right, because that's what Kate said. Yeah, absolutely. So keep that point in mind. So yep. Keep that in mind there, folks. So what Danielle's saying is another client basically incurred that bill, and they inadvertently sent it to Brad for the Redevelopment Commission. But what's crazy to me is the second part of her email. We corrected the invoice and sent Brad Bookout the updated invoice before the meeting. Well, okay, then. That's happened before. I've heard of that happening before. If you do it before the meeting, you can get rid of the first. Nobody would ever even know about it. Get rid of it, put the corrected one in, and give it to the board members. Then that way, Rob Kiesling never ever sees the first document. He never questions it, and there's never an issue. Here's the problem with what Danielle is saying. If she, in fact, did that, and I have no reason to believe that she's lying, something fishy's going on here, but I don't know where it's at. Why did Brad then not fix the issue? Why did he not fix the issue before the meeting? And let's pretend, for the sake of argument, all right, stay with me here. Stay with me. Let's pretend she sent it to Brad. Brad's like, oh, yeah, I'll fix it. And then guess what? His work just gets away with him, and he's too inundated to do it. He gets to that meeting, and then Rob Kiesling, who we call Lex Luthor here, asks the question, is there anything we need to worry about? Brad's answer in the meeting would make sense. No, there's nothing to worry about. However, when Rob talks to him after the meeting, why would Bookout not have said, first of all, stop? At that moment, Bookout should have said, oh, yeah, by the way, you have a bill in here that is $100 over what you should be paying. So instead of paying $3,300, you should be paying $3,200. You should be paying $3,200. But he never does that. And that board goes ahead and votes on this claim right here, votes on this claim, and they pay $3,300. They pay $100 more. $100 more than what they should. Okay.
Here's my thing. Even if they had that original invoice,
yeah,
Rob asks this question.
Yeah.
Is there anything in here we need to be worried about? At
yeah.
that point, yeah, why not say, oh, I know what it is you're talking about in that invoice. That is an incorrect invoice. They sent us an updated one. I'm sorry, I forgot to get that to you.
Right. That
line item is actually not part of your claims. So it isn't anything to worry about.
Right. Stay right there. Stay right there. That's exactly right.
He left me and went to the bathroom. Thanks. That's great. It's like watching paint dry, isn't it, guys? So any thoughts so far? Rachel brought up a great point. SBOA is involved. It's definitely another government body. If this is in fact a case of mistaken invoicing. Yeah. Easy way to resolve this, call the SBOA and see if they had a meeting with them. Well, I think Kristopher might be discussing that. I know that they probably weren't open today and he didn't get these until, I think he got them on Friday. Let's see here, January 17th. So he got these on Friday. So he hasn't had an opportunity to call the SBOA, but I think that's on the agenda, along with also requesting what invoice that's supposed to be on.
Okay, so here's the thing. What you said was correct. Why did he not say, oh, wait a minute? Stumblefoot said it's not like he needs $100. The $100 didn't go to him. The $100 would go to the law firm. But anyways, why didn't he do that in the meeting? Okay, great. But then afterwards, when Rob talked to him, he didn't say, oh yeah, a corrected invoice was sent to me. Instead, he says something to the effect of somebody from the FBI or someone pretending to be from the FBI or someone that we thought was from the FBI came in with some kind of a lanyard and we had to talk to other law enforcement and it's figured out. What he told Rob makes it seem like it's still part of the Redevelopment Commission's money payment claims for some reason. And the statement that he makes to them makes no damn sense whatsoever. So that's funky. Okay. Well, we're not done with just that email. Okay. I get this response from Struble. And now, before I talk to Kate, before I talk to anybody, before all of you guys said it here, my thing was when I see, well, it's from another client, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's the FBI could be anybody, but it's the State Board of Accounts. So it's obviously a client that is a governmental entity. So my response back to Danielle was, so wait a minute. I just wanted to double check what she was saying. What record is correct? That's what I sent back to her. Before she could answer, I then sent another email saying, so there was never a conference call with Bill regarding the State Board of Accounts and an FBI meeting. Okay. To which Danielle says, in the response we sent you, page 36 through 38 shows you the actual correct claim and the correct invoice that was submitted for payment and paid. I do not show that Brad updated the agenda, and I cannot speak for why he did not do that. That is why I sent you the draft agenda he originally sent out with the incorrect amount. She didn't send me the draft. She didn't send me the draft agenda. I had the draft agenda my own self. That's what I just can't figure out, Miss Struble. You guys didn't send me the 606 claims. I received this from sources from the meeting on the 14th. You guys didn't send me this. Look back through the records request you sent me. You guys didn't send this to me. So there are things that they're saying doesn't seem to be making sense. That's why I sent you the draft agenda he originally sent out with the incorrect amount. You did not send me that. I had it. Okay. Well, the emails don't end there. So at that point, that's when I sent out. So there was never a conference call with the FBI. And at that point, John Brooke jumped into play. Now, understand that this is Friday night into Saturday. They're closed, and they're responding to me after hours and on the weekend. That's really strange. That generally doesn't happen. Not only are they responding after hours and on the weekend, they're responding at like 11 o'clock at night, which is funky, man. That's service with a smile. So John Brooks says to me on Friday the 17th at 4:47 p.m., correct. There was, now I'm going to have to show this to you because there's some issues here, and I don't know what he's actually trying to say. I mean, I get the basis of it. He says the email as it stands, correct. There was no concern or that was chargeable to the Redevelopment Commission. There was no concern that was chargeable to the Redevelopment Commission, maybe he's trying to say, and the R was just fat-fingered. I don't know. Okay. So he said that. Okay, cool. So we're not done. We're not done. I then send an email that says, any chance? Yeah, right, David. This is the second time I've showed it. He should be used to it by now. I say, any chance you want to explain what the State Board of Accounts and FBI meeting was about? Which I knew what he was going to say to that. He says, no, that is an attorney-client privilege for a client. Okay. I'm not done playing with them just yet. I say on Saturday at 8:48 p.m., I say, okay, let's try it this way. What government entity did you bill for this? Since it deals with the State Board of Accounts, we are obviously talking about a governmental entity. I want, as a request for records, the invoice in which includes this line item. To which he says to me in a follow-up email at 9:12 that night, and he's not understanding what I'm saying, which we'll address tomorrow. He says, this is confidential as attorney-client privilege. I cannot comment anymore. No, okay, don't comment anymore. Just get me the damn record, John. I don't know if you're dipping a little heavy into the maple syrup that night or what, but I want the claim, because listen, so, and here's the other thing. I have, since these emails went out, I've talked with members of the Redevelopment Commission, and I've passed this along to members of the Redevelopment Commission, and I have said what they're telling me, and it makes no sense to any of them. It makes no sense to any of them. I say, well, so it sounds like you guys have been overbilled by Brooke and Struble by $100. Have you ever got that $100 back, or have you ever got word that you have $100 credit? And they've said no. I've said, have you ever voted on amending the claim and you got a new claim? And they've said no. So we are now in a space where there is a governmental entity that had something going on. Now, you want me to tell you what this makes me believe? This makes me believe that this quite possibly has something to do with Ryan Webb's complaint to the State Board of Accounts. See, when we were first attributing this to the Redevelopment Commission, and I was saying, well, this could have something to do with Ryan Webb's complaint, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because his complaint really didn't have anything to do with the Redevelopment Commission. But now that they're saying this has nothing to do with the Redevelopment Commission, now it makes it all the more likely that this could have something to do with Webb's complaint. So we now will be attending the meeting tomorrow, and I will be asking the commissioners if they know anything about this. It'll kind of be a twofold type of a situation, because two of the commissioners are now on the Redevelopment Commission. John Brooke is the attorney in the commissioners meeting. I will again on the record explain to him that I now am requesting the record to the governmental entity which got billed for this. See, they're saying things, they're answering questions with statements that make their previous statements not make any sense. I thought about sending an email to Bookout, but I didn't send it to him because I want all, and he might hear this, I don't know. If you are, hello, Brad. We're going to talk about this soon, you and I. But I'm trying to see what happens Well, so this is what's happening. Rachel says you need to go to the next meeting and ask the board why they haven't been credited to them. They need to ask John in a public forum if he has credited the RDC. So here's the good thing about this. Tomorrow, the 21st, is the commissioners meeting. It's Tuesday the 21st. And I will go to the commissioners meeting and I get to ask the commissioners and their attorney, John Brooke, about this. Next Tuesday is the council meeting, and I will go to the council meeting and I will ask Bradley Bookout on the record about this. And then the week after that will be the County Redevelopment Commission, who I will then get to go and ask them about this. So we will get to talk about this for the next several weeks, asking various government entities and finding out what's going on. So, I mean, listen, I don't care anything about the redevelopment paying for this or not paying for it. The bigger question here is what's going on that the SBOA and the FBI are involved with the county. And see, the thing is, the county likes to portray it as the city is the only entity that has troubles and the FBI is looking at them and da-da-da-da-da. They don't like anyone to think that there might be, some shit in their playpen. And in fact, there's a lot of it. And so I think this is really, interesting. And I can't wait to see, I guess, how they continue to answer this. And, we said from the very get-go, when I broke this on Thursday, we said that they would try to come up with some convoluted answer as to why this wasn't a big deal. I'll be honest, I don't believe that's what they're doing. I believe that they are being honest. I think that Brooke and Struble are being honest about this, and I don't know who's doing the weirdness. But the bigger question here is what is and was the issue with the State Board of Accounts and the FBI. Now, the FBI is not going to be telling anything, but I received this on Thursday. We did the show Thursday. I contacted the various people on Friday. Today, they were closed. Tomorrow, on my way to the meeting, I will call the State Board of Accounts and see if I can get an answer before I go into the meeting. The meeting is at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We will live stream the meeting right here on this channel, so you'll be able to see it. And we will get all of that out there for you. So that will be there. But I will ask them about it, and we'll see what happens. If I don't get to talk to the State Board of Accounts before I go in, I will get a hold of the State Board of Accounts when I get out. So that's that. We will definitely find out if the State Board of Accounts has anything, because they're generally a little bit more loose lips. They're able to talk about more. And so we'll find out if there's some kind of investigation into Delaware County, if there has been, when it was, see if I can find out who was involved or what the basis of the allegation was. So hopefully we can do that. So we will figure that out. He knows you're going to keep asking, so he should just give you the damn information. I know, it's not like, I don't even, honestly, David, I don't even know who you're talking about. I don't know if you're talking about John or you're talking about Bookout, but the answer is yes. Yeah, whoever it is, they should just go ahead and give it, because I'm not going away. I'm going to keep asking. I think you're right. The attorney answered immediately to say it wasn't them. Also, whoever's involved, if the bill was only 100, it wasn't super long convo involving State Board of Accounts. No. So keep in mind, all right, and that's the other thing that people's getting lost on. Everybody's saying, well, it wasn't that big of a deal because the convo was only, $100. Let's look back about what the claim says again and tell you why that's not exactly correct. The claim is for a conference call between Struble, an attorney, and Bill, and I'm assuming Bill is Bill Walters, regarding State Board of Accounts and the FBI meeting. So that $100 isn't the attorneys meeting the State Board of Accounts or the FBI. That $100 is for the conference call with their client. So they did work extra outside of what their deal was, which was meet with Bill. And I'm assuming it's Bill Walters. I guess it doesn't have to be. It could be, I don't know who it could be. It's either Bill or some unknown entity. But the meeting was just, to maybe explain to him, hey, look, don't answer any questions, or, hey, look, you need to hire your own attorney, or, tell them this or give them this, or just be honest with them, or who knows. And so we don't know what the State Board of Accounts or the FBI is doing, if their investigation is ongoing still, if it is closed, what it covered, how long it's been open, how long it was open, and what the nature of it was. That could be any number of things. But this one single thing was just a meeting between the attorney and a member of the county government. So that's why it was only $100. That has no bearing on the actual investigation, if there is one, or whatever. So that's also the interesting side of things. Rachel. Let's see here. Yeah. I get, Brooke. Well, all of them. Hell, anybody. So, the one person, and you know what? That's very true. That's very true. Well, Bill's also involved with the regional wastewater. But listen. Let me tell you a situation. Let me tell you a situation, David, in which you could be wrong, and it could relate right back to Ryan's thing. So remember about the allegation that James King, as a commissioner, was taking trips to Las Vegas with people, and they were basically what was happening was Bill was paying for everything. Bill Walters was paying for everything. And then Bill Walters was then submitting the claims through the county and getting reimbursement. So that could very well be what's going on there. How many are there with conflicts? How many are there with conflicts of interest in your city, county? Karen, that's not even known. Who the hell knows? All of them, half of them, most of them, 5 of them, 20 of them. I don't know. They're all interrelated and interconnected. So all of them, everybody but Steven so far, I don't know. And Rachel, look at this. I haven't watched your show for years. She's just one of those ones that watches without commenting. Rachel, I watched your show for years. Why did Ryan Webb make a complaint? So I guess it would be a good thing to refresh for those that maybe do not know. Ryan Webb right now is a former Delaware County councilor. He's currently on the Muncie Land Bank, which caused people to be out of their minds. And so Webb made a complaint back probably in the summer about some massive fraud, waste, and abuse on behalf of the Delaware County government and Ed Carroll, the auditor, his office, things that he was doing, not doing, the fact that he was going to work and doing Republican Party work in his government office all day rather than doing auditor work, just shit like that. He made a couple different serious complaints and allegations against the Delaware County government. And that's that. Yeah, so Karen, the Bill Walters I'm talking about, Bill Walters is currently, let's put this on for size. Bill Walters is currently an elected Daleville Town Council member. Daleville is a small town in Delaware County. He is like the head of the Regional Wastewater District. He also did something for Augusta Corp, which was a contract entity for Delaware County government. And he's just so intertwined. He's in all of this. It's not even funny. Rachel says, why didn't Ryan make a complaint as soon as he got into office rather than wait so long? Well, number one, as soon as he got in office, he didn't know all this stuff was going on. It took him 2 years to find out, everything was happening. The house was on fire, basically. It took him so long. And, the auditor, Ed Carroll, wasn't even the auditor for the first 2 years. So that's, the problem really started when Ed came into office as auditor, and then what they were being able to do or whatever. So that's the reason it really just came to a head in like July. And, he was like, okay, something's got to happen here. I turned in a complaint. There were several people that turned in complaints about the same time because we were trying to inundate them to show them like, hey, look, there is an issue going on here. And I don't know. Nothing ever came of it unless this came of it. I don't know. We'll have to find out. I am going to call there tomorrow, but there's a meeting at 9 a.m. And so that's that. Hey, look, we're getting ready to leave, but I do need to cover this, and I'm going to cover this more in detail at a later date. But we've been talking, over the last several days and weeks, basically since the state government has opened up its opened up their filing period for their bills. We've been talking about random bills that are either state House bills or state Senate bills that are just absolute dog shit. And Yeah, tell me about it.
Isn't that most of them, Christopher?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, then this year is so freaking bad, man. I can't even. It's so bad. I cannot stand it. It's truly a nightmare. And so this one got brought to my attention by a viewer who happens to be in law enforcement and asked me to review this and ask if I would talk about this and just ask what my opinion of it was. And man, the instant I looked at this, I knew right what it was. And I don't know how to prove. And I guess I can start contacting people, but I know that this has something to do with John Sproles. I just know that this does. I know that it does. I'm shocked that Corey Criswell hasn't signed on it yet. I'm assuming that we will see him do that. I'm surprised that J.D. Prescott hasn't signed on as a co-signer. I'm sure that we will see that. So this is Indiana House Bill 1186, and it was authored by Steve Bartels, Republican Steve Bartels, District 74. District 74, let me show you where District 74 is. Here, just so you can get familiarized. It's the north side of Indianapolis, basically, is where his district is. I'm having a hard time getting this to pull up. I tell you, their IGA website is just absolutely shit. But it's along the north side of it's along the north side of Indianapolis, essentially. And so what's interesting to me is this bill. Let me get this pulled back up here so you can see it. Yeah, there we are. Is law enforcement matters. That's what they say. Let me read this to you. Provides that a correctional professional is considered a public safety officer for purposes of determining eligibility for line of duty death benefits. Okay, I'm cool with that. Got no problems. Current law provides that correctional officer is considered a public safety officer for determining eligibility line benefits. Provides that a law enforcement officer who, 1, has successfully completed Tier 2 or Tier 3 basic requirements, or 2, has completed a pre-basic program and will timely complete Tier 2 or Tier 3 basic training requirements, may only exercise police powers when the law enforcement officer is carrying out the duties of the law enforcement agency that appointed the law enforcement officer within the geographic jurisdiction of the appointing law enforcement agency. Provides that a Tier 2 or Tier 3 program graduate may exercise certain police powers outside the jurisdiction of the appointing law enforcement agency if the appointing law enforcement agency enters into an agreement with another law enforcement agency that is authorized to employ Tier 2 or Tier 3 program graduates, or an entity that sets forth the extent of police powers the law enforcement officer may exercise. Makes changes to penalties for highway worksite violations, increases the penalty for criminal recklessness from a Class B to a Class A misdemeanor, provides that criminal recklessness is a level 6 felony if the crime is committed while armed with a deadly weapon or is committed while operating a vehicle, level 5 felony if the person committed pointing a firearm while committing aggressive driving, or level 4 felony the crime is committed by shooting a firearm into a dwelling or another building or place where people are likely to gather for the person or or the person commits aggressive driving that results in serious bodily injury to another person, or level 3 felony if the crime is committed by shooting a firearm into an occupied motor vehicle, or the person committed aggressive driving that results in the death or catastrophic injury of another person. Provides that a level 3, level 4, or level 5 felony criminal recklessness is considered a serious violent felony for purposes of unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon. Adds a hospital police to the definition of police departments required to provide police officers with certain rights. So, there's a lot of stuff here that I like. The issue that I have...
Can you give us a dumbed down version, please?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, the top of this and the bottom of that, the top and bottom does not matter. Okay. The top and bottom of that about the jailers being, and they don't like that term, but COs, jailers being considered law enforcement officers for, if they're killed in the line of duty, that is good. I have no problem with that. I think that's a good thing. That's wonderful. Talking about the penalties for motor vehicle highway going through construction, all that shit's good. The issues here are the area where it says this law provides that a law enforcement officer who has successfully completed Tier 2 or Tier 3 basic requirements, or has completed a pre-basic program and will timely complete the 2 programs, may only exercise police powers when the law enforcement officer is carrying out the duties of the law enforcement agency that appointed the officer within the geographic jurisdiction of the appointed law enforcement agency. So you know how on here I generally say in the state of Indiana, a police officer is a police officer statewide. This would do away with that. And I'll be honest, it does away with reserves working security places. So what this is like what Sproles has been talking about. This is stopping the people who go and work as a reserve and put in hours working as reserves from going and doing security. Really, this stops a lot of people from doing work unless they get negotiations and get something signed off by someone from fellow, the other jurisdiction. It sounds like a good idea, and it's like, well, we're really, clamping down on police control and police powers. Listen, there's already mechanisms in place for that. The chief, the sheriff, the marshal, whatever you want to call them, the head of the department, the city council, the town board, the commissioners, those people can really work together to stop bad behavior from these situations. And all that has to happen is you have to have people in those positions that are worth a damn to make those positions good. And if there's someone that's not in that position that's good, then the town board needs to get rid of them. The city council, the mayor, whoever is responsible for it. If it's the sheriff's department, the people need to get rid of that sheriff. Those things need to happen. And there are ways to clamp down on this. What this is going to do is it's going to stop law enforcement from being able to work. I know there are full-time guys that supplement their income and work like a whole second job doing security places that, because they don't get shit signed off or this or that, they might not do that because they're only allowed to perform their law enforcement duties in an area. And a lot of these places that want officers to do security, Yeah, you're not down there making arrests and shooting people and doing like wild pursuits. It's just the presence is the security that stops people from doing stuff. But the reason that stops people from doing stuff is because you have the power to arrest if you need to. If they tie the hands of these officers from being able to make arrests, from being able to do this work, these officers aren't going to do the work, which means they aren't going to be reserves, which means they aren't going to supplement the cities and the towns that need work. There are a lot of small towns that the reason they are able to give their citizens coverage is because of the reserve program. And every year there's some jackass state representative right in line to make some kind of stupid bullshit law that kills the people from being able to do. It kills off the police power. It kills off what they can do. You know, I don't want full-time, part-time, or reserve officers out here running rampant, doing stupid shit. I don't want them, you know, I don't like the people having badges in their pocket just because they want one, just because they want to impress their friends or the girls. Like, look, that needs to be stopped, but there are ways to stop that. This bill is nonsensical, and I hope that everybody, I don't know. I have to say, it's sad that stuff that they're putting in to pack it, that's what they're doing. They're trying to make sure that this shit gets voted on because nobody wants to vote against the top and the bottom part. And that's not the way that we should be legislating. So I have to say this has to be a bill that is voted no on, because it has to be done right. You can't make a bigger problem because you're trying to fix two other problems. So just my 2 cents on that. I will talk more about this as I look into it. I've got a couple people I want to talk to about this. Being sick last night kind of threw me off, but I will get more insight on this, and we'll talk more in depth about this. But as of right now, I'm putting this in the category of this is a bullshit bill. So stay tuned. Take away qualified immunity, and Congress might start caring about our constitutional rights. And you know what? The other thing is, I think training needs to be longer. Training always needs to be better. Training. We need to get to a point where we can train better longer. So that's a big issue too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for tonight's show. I want to thank you all for being here, taking a listen. It's been a long day. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. We'll be at the Delaware County Commissioners Meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. And we'll be back here tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Eastern in the morning for the meeting, 9 p.m. Eastern in the evening for a review of what goes on tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss what we talk about tomorrow, I promise. Oh, and big news. Number one, I am getting caught up. I've got a little behind on the audio podcasts. I am getting caught up. I uploaded a shit ton of them yesterday. So for those of you that like to listen in the car, if you want to listen to the audio podcast, they're on the Fireside network. They're somewhere up in here. Let me see. It's somewhere. I know it's here somewhere. Maybe it's not. YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, TikTok. Oh, right here. Our audio podcast link. thepoliticalspotlight.fireside.fm. thepoliticalspotlight.fireside.fm. It's also on Apple and Spotify and Stitcher and all of that shit. So if you like listening to the audio version in the car or whatever, when you're mowing, when you're snow plowing, when you're whatever you're doing, we're going to get them all there. So I'm getting caught up, and there's that. So I put a bunch on. Every night I'm going to get them all caught up until we're done. I'll have it all done in a day or two, and we'll be good there. I now know the better way to do it. So that's how I'm mass doing it. So each night. We'll get them up there. And after we get caught up, we shouldn't have a problem. So there's that. Like, subscribe, share, do all of that shit. Thank you guys very, very much. We will see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the meeting, 9 p.m. for the breakdown of the meeting, and we'll go from there. Take care. Good night. Goodbye. God bless.